guys. Well, today we're going to be talking about high tops. No, not the kind you put on your feet, but the kind that you put on your van. Are they worth it? Hi you guys. So I guess you're all wondering about my high top. Well, yeah, I've had it now for a year. And I just wanted to say I don't regret the decision whatsoever. I know there's those of you out there that can live in a van with no high top or even a camper shell or something like that and it doesn't bother you. But for some of us folks, we really need to be able to stand up and stretch out or put our pants on without having to lay down. And it's nice when it's raining out or whatever to be able to cook inside without having to hunch over or sit on the floor. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the best purchases for the van, and it is indeed the most expensive thing I did put on the van. It cost even more than my van did. But luckily I did have a budget for a van that basically would have cost the same if it had already had a high top on it. But at the time I was running out of time and it was hard. I mean, it's still kind of hard to find vans, good ones, especially ones that are already built out or have a high top on them. They're just beat up and or overpriced, or, you know, or both. They're just, yeah, it was just really not a good thing. And I had to get out of my apartment really quick. And so I just didn't have time. And as fate would have it, I only had to live in my van for a couple of weeks before the high top was, you know, finished so that they could put it on for me. So I did get to experience the whole, like, you know, hunchback kind of thing. So I'm glad I only had to do that for a couple of weeks because that would not have been fun. But yeah, I did a lot of research beforehand, trying to find my options. If I had had the time, I probably would have did a build it yourself kind of deal so that I could customize the high top to my needs, because the company that makes these things, you know, only makes the ones for this size van a certain height. If I had had an extended van or a Ford or Chevy or something, I literally could have got a higher high top than I did. So I got the highest one that I could get, and it works out good because it's still, you know, 6'2" inside, but I would have rather have had it a little bit taller, but that's just me. But anyway, yeah, so it was a base model, except for I did have some wood reinforcement put in. I didn't have any windows put in because they were $850 a piece extra at the time. Fiberine does not put in vents, so I would have had to put my own vent in had I chosen to do that, which I did not. Because I think it's fine, and my solar takes up all that room anyway, so I don't have a vent. Yeah, and so it was basically the base model except for the wood reinforcement, and it was $4,000 installed. And that sounds like a huge price tag, and it is. However, it's cheaper than the other options, which, believe it or not, were just pop tops. Pop tops, if you guys think about it, it's just a tent, okay? It's not anything substantial or anything structural. You can't really insulate it too well and all these things. They do have their advantages for drivability and for stealthiness and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, in the end, you're paying for a tent. And I don't recommend that if you're on a budget, unless you can find one used at a junkyard or have a donor van or something like that. But yes, Fiberine is the only company that I know of that does high tops in North America anymore. Chances are any van that you've gotten in the last 20, probably even 30 years that has a high top on it, even if it came from another company and it has their label on it, according to the owner of the company of Fiberine, they were the people that made it, and they resold it to these other companies anyway. So you're all getting Fiberine high tops anyway. So you might as well just go to the source. And as fate would have it, the source is the only one left. And that brings me to the reason why, is because manufacturers recognize the need for high top vans. And so they decided that it would be good safety-wise and marketing-wise to build their own high roof vans. So that's what happens now. And so there's really not too much of a market for, you know, aftermarket high tops. And when you think about it, the safety thing is a big deal. I mean, you cut a big hole in your roof, whether you're putting a tent on top of it or you're putting a high top like I did, you're still, you know, messing with the safety of the van. So that's why Fiberine is pretty much the only company left that does it. because they are the bee's nest. They've been around for a long time. They know what they're doing. And, you know, the market is small. So there's not going to be people either making them or reselling them anymore because there's just not a humongous market for it. But if you need them, they're still there. They do all kinds of fabrication work. I've even seen pictures on their website of Chevy Suburbans with high tops on them. They will do minivans, Volkswagens. They will do any size van. It's just within their design and specifications, of course. But you can get a higher top put on, like, say, a Chevy Astro or whatever you decide you're going to drive or whatever you have. So I don't know if they do cars. You might want to talk to them. I don't know if you want a high top on your car, but I'm just saying. I mean, they do a lot of custom work. So they're worth looking into. And like I said, if you want a permanent high top from a really good, reputable company, they're the people to go to. Now, if you want a pop top, you're going to have to get creative if you're on a budget. You're going to have to figure out how to make your own, or you're going to have to buy one that's already in a junkyard, or find a donor van on Craigslist or something like that, or literally hold out and find one that's already built because they are expensive. Sportsmobile is the only company that I am going to recommend on my channel for pop tops because they have been around forever, and the work they do and the craftsmanship that they have is impeccable. Okay, if you want a a pop top that's already, you know, that they install and is made in America, go with Sportsmobile. You can't go wrong, but there's going to be a high price tag, just so you know. I don't even know how much they cost. I can only imagine because the rest of the work that they do full out custom camper vans for people, and the work is just absolutely phenomenal. And now they're building custom Ford E350 four-wheel drive with the Quigley everything, awesome camper vans from the ground up for people, and you get to pick all the materials you want them to use within their specifications. You get to pick the colors, you get to pick everything, but that comes with like extremely high price tag. So if you have the money for that kind of stuff, don't be spending it on these new companies that haven't even been out for 10 years. You know, they look nice and they look very high end and they're very high priced, but I can tell you what, the proof is in the pudding, because all of these Sportsmobiles, they're still around. A lot of them are still on the road. And if the van itself breaks, people just take the top off and reuse it. Okay, they take the parts out of them and reuse it. And in fact, if you have the money and the time, you're better off finding an old Sportsmobile and fixing it up some way, somehow, and restoring it. Because I'm telling you, it's worth it. Even if you can restore the whole unit or use parts off of it to put in your van, that's the way to go, because their craftsmanship is impeccable. Another company that I'm going to recommend for DIY is Reimo. They're out of Germany. They're on Reimo.com, and they do RV parts of all sorts. And they do have a universal pop top kit for many different kinds of vans. I'm sure that it would work on a regular minivan. They show on their website, they show basically Euro vans and Volkswagens, but I'm pretty sure you could probably figure out how to make it work on something that you have. I could not navigate their website very well, so I don't know if there's any North American dealers, but if you could, you know, get a hold of them and find out for yourself, that might be a way to go, because their option is rather reasonable. It's in the $1,500 to $2,000 range for a pop top. The reason why I'm not recommending these other companies is because the ones that I did find the price tags on were extremely expensive, and the cheapest one I found, which was a base model for this one company, was, sit down folks, $12,000. That's right, $12,000 to have somebody put a tent on your van. Nah, no, I don't think so. I wouldn't mind having that kind of option, but I ain't paying $12,000 for a tent. Sorry. Especially when I can get a really good, rugged Overlander tent to put on top of my car or whatever for $5,000 or less. I got my high top, which is almost like a real roof, for $4,000. You guys do the math, okay? So there ain't no way. And in fact, if I could have had the time or had found one in a wrecking yard, I would have even gone the cheaper route and gotten a high top from a wrecking yard. And I would probably do the same thing if I had it to do all over again for a pop top. Or I would just get a rooftop tent and cut a hole in the bottom of it and figure out a way to seal up the gaps so that it would work on whatever rig I decided to put it on. And there are people that have done that. I've seen those YouTube videos as well doing this research. Most of them are overland guys and they do it to camper shells. But yes, it can be done. You could take a cheap or even, a good expensive rooftop tent that costs not even half of what these other people are asking. And yeah, hold your breath and cut a hole in it and then put it on your roof. You can do that. It is possible. So, or like I say, build your own. Hire somebody to build your high top. Hire somebody to build your pop top for you or help you. You're just going to have to get creative out there because our options are starting to be even more limited. I don't even know, because of this pandemic, I don't know how Fiberine is going to survive. They may not. I don't know. They're a pretty small company. They've done a lot of work over the years, but they've kept it small. So who knows? And yeah, I don't think that for what you're getting, if you're buying a pop top, is worth $12,000. Yeah, I can see paying maybe $5-6 grand for something like that because they've got those, the scissor mechanisms and all the struts and all that kind of weird, complicated stuff that you don't want to have to figure out yourself, which some people do. They do figure it out. But if you're kind of like me and you're, I don't know, I'm mechanically okay and I can see the design for stuff, but I'm really not, I don't know. Maybe I could figure it out, but it'd take me a long time. Let's just put it that way. And it's easier just to go buy one at a junkyard or buy something that's already made, but I'm not going to pay $12,000 for a tent. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Ain't gonna happen. Maybe a yurt. A yurt's a little bit different. They're more substantial. They're more like a house, but not a tent. Sorry. Not a little pop top tent that goes on top of my camper. No. So there you have it, guys. You're just gonna have to get creative. The two companies I recommend again are Fiberine for the high top, the hard high top. They do all vans, and then the second one that I recommend for pop tops is going to be Sportsmobile. And I'm sorry, they're the old fogey companies that have been around a long time, but those are the ones that are tried and true to me and proven. This is your house you're talking about. You don't want to be, wasting your money on some fly-by nights. If you're going to have somebody do it for you, you want to have them do it right. And if you do hire a contractor to do a DIY kind of thing, make sure that they are reputable and they know what they're doing, and maybe that they have some experience building, tiny things like tiny houses and stuff like that. So they know how to do it for you. And get in there with them, and ask them questions and learn, because you never know, you might want to do it again yourself someday. Or yeah, get in there, jump in there and do it yourself. There's people out there all the time building stuff and they've never done it before and they figure it out. So, and like I say, if you can, your best option, especially if you're first starting out, is just to hold out and find something that's already built the way you need it to be, structural wise. And then you can put the stuff you want on the inside. Just make sure that the shell of whatever it is that you're buying already has the roof that you want, already has the pop top, whatever. That would be a lot easier. And then when you're out on the road for a while and you have the resources or whatever, or the knowledge, then maybe the next time you could tackle something that's a DIY, because you can customize it to your needs or whatever, or you feel more confident or whatever. Or just go and get another rig that's built, whatever. But yeah, that's basically it. Is the high top worth it? Yes, it is. It is. If you can handle not having one, then, yeah, they're expensive. Don't worry about it. Don't do it. If you can stand to hunch over and then just basically live most of the time outside, and you live in a place where the weather is conducive to that, and or you can travel and that kind of stuff, don't worry about it. They're expensive. If you can do it, comfortably without one, then that's my recommendation. Like, seriously, because it's just, to me, the expense it's huge when you're first starting out. Maybe after a while, when you've saved up some money, then go that route. Or, the next rig that you get, make sure that it's already, got a high roof on it. And to me, that's the best way to go. So there you have it, guys. That's my opinion. That's my deal on my high top, and I hope this helps you guys out. And please like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.